I know we just moved to Pensacola in January, but our original plan was to stay just 1 year, so our lease is up at the end of December. So of course I'm already searching out for new apartments, and we are looking at the Tampa Bay area. I'm not sure if that's where we'll end up, but I thought I'd share with you a little bit of what I've learned so far. But before I go into that, I want to share with you something that had come in the mail. I get emails every day from companies wanting me to review their products, and never have I accepted until recently. They said they had something that I thought was a great idea. I'm not getting paid to tell you about it, but I did tell them to send it to me, and I would tell them what I thought, and I thought I would share with you as well because I really liked it. This is called Viter Energy. I wish I had this when we were traveling across the United States, across Europe, because traveling is super exhausting, as many of you know. And I'm not a coffee drinker. It bothers my stomach. I can't drink it. I can't have a lot of caffeine or my heart just starts going like this. So when they said they had these mints and each one only has 40 milligrams of caffeine, I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. But what I like about it too is that it's sugar-free and it doesn't have that aspartame in it. And it has a niacin, B6, some other vitamins. I'll put the link in the description box below so you could click and see exactly what it has in it. But the taste is very good. And when you're traveling, your mouth gets all yucky. Even if you're working throughout the day, and you know how it is after lunch, you start falling asleep. What's really cool is that it only has 40 milligrams per mint. So if you're like me and you can't take a lot of caffeine, you could just take 1 or 2. I think coffee, a cup of coffee is around 120 milligrams of caffeine. You'd have to double check that. So 40 is just a little bit. If you need a little bit more, you can take another one, or take them throughout the day while it's freshening your breath and it tastes good. It can give you a little bit of that energy that you want. Again, I don't drink coffee, so if you're not a coffee drinker, this is something that you might like. And I don't drink those monster drinks either. It just fills my belly up too much drinking those large monster drinks. So I've always not been into any of that. So this is something I like that I'll use, and I thought I'd share with you. So moving on to apartment hunting, I wanted to tell you that I've been looking for a month every day, like 2 to 3 hours. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what I do before I do anything. I do a lot of research. So the 3 sites I mainly look at is forrent.com, apartments.com, apartmentguide.com. I know there's other sites, and I know there's houses for rent. So if you're more interested in renting a house, housesforrent.com. You can go to Zillow. They have houses that you can look at. You have to be really careful though with individual landlords. I'm not saying that they're all bad. There's many great ones, so don't get me wrong. As a matter of fact, I personally would go to a realtor like Remax or somebody and have them help you if that's what you're looking for. I feel a little more safe having somebody to look out for you, because there's some slum landlords out there, and you might move in thinking it's a great place, and next thing you know is the air conditioning's not working. You cannot be in Florida without air conditioning in the summer. Most of us cannot. You'd have even somebody like me who loves the heat. It just gets really brutal. So that's something that you're going to want to watch out for. I've mainly been looking at apartments that are run by reputable management companies. I'm not saying that all the apartments are good. The main thing I do is first I have to find an apartment that allows pets. Okay? Now, if you have 4 people in your home, the smallest apartment you can get is 2 bedrooms. They allow 4 people in 2 bedrooms or 6 people in 3 bedrooms. So that's the main thing I first look at. Some of the 2 bedrooms would just be too small for us. We've been in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We like that. But if you want to live in a certain area, let's say downtown St. Petersburg or downtown Tampa, it may be too expensive to get a 3-bedroom. So we might have to take the tinier space to live in the location we want. So that's something everyone needs to decide. Are you willing to maybe spend $100 or $200 or $400 less and maybe live a half an hour to an hour away to a location you want, or are you willing to pay that extra money to be in that location? There's pros and cons on that, because if you live far away, you've got gas, wear and tear, the stress of getting into the city or whatever location that you're looking at, because especially in Florida, especially during snowbird season, and I'm talking about Southwest Florida or Tampa area, the traffic is horrific. It's really bad. And I know many of you think, oh, I don't mind driving, but you might mind driving when it's just stop and go, stop and go. The highway, you know, you're on the highway, it's fine. If there's an accident, you can be stuck there for 3 hours. Once you get off the exit, you might have to drive long distances. Maybe the distance isn't that long, but it takes you forever to get from point A to point B because of the traffic. Important thing for me and my family, and I know many of you are not as picky as I am, but I definitely want to be in a safe area, one that allows dogs. I do prefer to be near the stores and shops and whatever I need to be near without driving forever and fighting traffic. I'd just rather not do that. But who knows what I might have to do. We'll see when the time comes. Rick and I will take a road trip maybe next month to see what's available. I know it's available. I'm looking online, but I want to see it for myself, because I tell you, when you see things on the internet, it looks beautiful, but when you get there, it might smell moldy. It might be next to a bad neighborhood. Those are the things you have to look out for. So I've narrowed down apartments by, again, the dog. And then I check, there's 2 sites I like to check the neighborhood as far as crime rate, areavibes.com and city-data.com. Check those 2 sites out. You want to type in the zip code, because if you just type in Tampa, it's so vague. You need a zip code to narrow down exactly your neighborhood, because one zip code might be fine and then the neighborhood next door is, you know, crime ridden and maybe not a place you want to be in. Unfortunately, the better the neighborhood, the newer, the nicer the apartment, the higher the rent is. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be a nice neighborhood, because there's a lot of newer communities surrounding, let's say Tampa, St. Petersburg, but it's like 45 minutes away on the edge of maybe where country starts. They're suburbs, brand new communities, really nice. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that to save $100, you might have to drive 30-40 minutes to get where you want, say work. And I think you might end up spending more money by driving into wear and tear in your car, and the insurance rate goes up the more you drive. So insurance, car insurance, I will say, is very expensive in Florida. So that's something you might have a sticker shock when you move down here. And again, I noticed that the Tampa, St. Petersburg, Tampa Bay area is more expensive than, say, Port Charlotte or Northport. Port Charlotte, I read in an article just recently that it's the #1 of most affordable. I don't know what all the requirements for this list was, but it was like the nicest, one of the safer cities in the United States to live in. And I will tell you, it's true. I lived in Northport, and Port Charlotte's right next door, just south, and it's very affordable. And the area is really nice. If you don't need to go to Tampa for any reason, it's a really nice area. And even if you did, you'd have to drive an hour to Tampa. I think Fort Myers is maybe 40 minutes from Port Charlotte. There's an airport in Fort Myers, and there's also, of course, the airport in Tampa. So that's really nice if you plan on doing any traveling. It's nice to be within an hour or less of an airport. Now, when looking for apartments, especially if it's a little bit more than you want to spend, or a little bit more than you think you can afford, but you still want to live there and you're just going to work extra to make ends meet, they will want you to make 3 times more than what the rent is. So let's say rent is $1,500. That means you got to make $4,500 a month. Okay? If you're making $3,000 a month, then you can only afford a $1,000 apartment a month. Now, sometimes they will be lenient on that if your FICO score is very high. You definitely want to get your FICO score over 700. The higher the better. Over 720 is even better. If the area you want to be in is difficult to get into, let's just say there's only so many apartments, they're going to pick the person with the higher FICO score, the person with the job that pays more, and that type of thing. So those are things that you're going to want to think about and try to get that in order. The other thing you'll look at too is how much money you have in the bank. I would have at least 3 months rent in your bank account in addition to having a job that pays what they're asking. But let's say you sold the house up north and you don't have a job yet. Sometimes you can get around not having your job yet by having all that money in the bank, and they will let you move in. They might make you pay an extra month, 2, 3, I don't know, extra in rent ahead of time, so they know that they're going to get paid, because if you don't have a job, they're worried. They want you to pay your rent. So you should be okay. If you have a good FICO score and you've got a lot of money in the bank, you might be able to still get the apartment. If not, I would try to make sure you get that job before you move, and that's really hard because many people don't want to hire you unless you're here in Florida. And one way to get around that is to use Airbnb. You could rent a place, a room. If you have a family, you're probably going to want to rent a house or a condo where your whole family can be. If you're a single person, you could just rent a room if you're trying to save money, or even a hotel, a long-term stay hotel like Candlewood or La Quinta. Some of them are pretty affordable, especially if you're off season. I should warn you, if you're moving to Southwest Florida during peak season, hotel rooms are very expensive, even the less expensive hotels. Let's say La Quinta. I actually like La Quinta. We use it. I have a lot of points from all the traveling we've done. They allow pets. You have to check the Google reviews to make sure that it's a clean one, but we've had a good experience mostly with them. The summer, a room could be $75 a night. In the winter, it could be $200, $300, $400 a night, depending on your location. So if you're coming down to look around, try to come somewhere between May and August when the snowbirds have left and the costs of hotels have come down. And this way you could stay maybe a week or two and then see apartments for yourself. This way you could see apartments for yourself with your own eyeballs. You could walk in, check them out, see how it smells, because older apartments can be moldy. I've walked into plenty of moldy apartments. You can't see it, everything looks new, but you smell it and you know it's there. I personally am highly allergic to mold. So if you have allergies or just don't want to be in a moldy place because it can be very dangerous to your health, you'll want to check that out. Now what will save you a lot of time, and this is what I did, and that's why it's taken me so long, I mean hours every night working on this. You have to find the area you want to be in. Let's just say it's Tampa. Then you have to narrow it down to exactly where in Tampa. Tampa is very large. You have North Tampa, South Tampa, West Tampa. It's very large. And even if you don't think it's a large area, it takes you a long time to get, like I said, from point A to point B, because traffic is pretty bad, especially in the winter. And then once you have that down, you have to type in, let's say forrent.com or apartments.com or apartment.com. Then you can click the box that says that you want a washer and dryer unit in your apartment. If that doesn't matter to you, then you can find a place that has. If that doesn't matter to you, you can check apartments that have laundry facilities. So you just click the little marks of what you definitely want, and you don't have to click any of those boxes if you're not so picky, and then more apartments will be available to you. And then you go through them. Now I noticed that some of them will show reviews and some won't. Even if they show reviews, I still would copy and paste that name of the apartment, type it in or paste it into Google, and look for the Google reviews. Google reviews seem to have the most reviews, and then there's Yelp reviews and there's other reviews. I read them all. The most important reviews for me to read are the negative ones, because let's say I see an apartment, it's in my price range, I really like it, it's perfect location, and then I read the reviews on the website and they seem pretty good, But then when I look on Google reviews, I see more of the bad reviews. So that's what I want to know. What's so bad about that apartment? Some people leave a comment or a review and they never even moved in. So I'm not too concerned about that review. Or someone came to the apartment to have a look at it and their appointment was canceled, or there was a wait, they had to wait too long. I don't care too much about that. I care a little, but you won't find any apartment that's perfect every time. So you kind of have to pick your battles. You have to figure out which negative mark is most important to you. Now, when I see a review, and more than one review, when I see 2 or 3 reviews saying that their car was broken into in their parking lot, I'm like, all right, that's a big flag. I'm not moving into that apartment. That's not good. And if I read something about the roof leaking, and then there's nobody that comes in to repair, that's a big, flag for me too, because if you have leaking rooftops, that's a huge problem, because mold will grow like this in Florida with humidity and heat. So that's not good. The review that doesn't bother me too much is noise, because every apartment you're going to have noise. There's a very good chance of it. If you're living on the top floor, you're probably better off. You won't hear the people above you. We're on the first floor here, and we don't hear too much noise. We hear some of the walking, we hear some music, but usually it's quiet by the time, evening comes along, so it doesn't bother me. But if you're a person that every single noise is going to bother you, then you're not going to even want to live in any apartment. They're basically all a little noisy. Of course, this one is super quiet. We've been pretty lucky here, but I don't mind a little noise as long as I'm not sleeping. So just read those negative reviews, see if it really bothers you. If it's not anything important, then check out those apartments if you can. And the more reviews there are, the better for you, because it really helps you out. When there's 1 review, 4 reviews, even 9 reviews, it's not quite enough. So that's something I look out for as well. And the other thing you might want to look out for when you're looking at the prices, whatever they're listing, it's always more. If they say rent is $1,300 a month, it's probably more like $1,400 to $1,500 a month. They'll say, well, it's not that apartment. This apartment that's available is $1,400 or $1,500. The one we listed is just not available. I don't know if that's just a marketing thing that they do just to get you in the door or what. So just have that in mind. So if you're looking to be really strict at $1,300 a month, then you better be looking for $1,100, $1,200 a month rent, because it's going to be more. Some places, and this is something that I've not seen before, but this is what I'm seeing in the Tampa Bay area, is where people are saying that they have to pay extra for valet garbage pickup. That's where you leave your garbage at the door and they come and take it every day. It's a really nice feature. I have no idea how much extra that is. I don't think it's a whole lot, but I think it's a way so there's not cockroaches being built up into the apartment, because if people are keeping their garbage in their apartment for a few days, you don't want that in Florida. You have to be very clean. Don't leave food out, that type of thing, if you don't want bugs. We've never had bugs in our house, but we're pretty clean. We clean up, we spray around the house and all that. Apartments will do all the spraying for you. So if you find a bug, immediately call the front desk and they'll have somebody come out and spray your apartment or outside your apartment, and you won't have too many problems. But if you read reviews, especially let's just say one particular apartment, you see several reviews saying there's bugs, then don't move there, because they're obviously not doing their job. Reviews are like number 1 to me to look at when looking at an apartment. The other thing too is you might be looking at a 1-bedroom apartment and it's say $1,100, but then a 2-bedroom, 2-bath is only $100 more. Now, of course, if you're on a very strict budget, then you're going to stick to that 1-bedroom. But it's kind of nice to have that 2nd bedroom if it's only $75, $100 more. Sometimes it's not a whole lot more to have that extra space, and you might want it for when guests come down to visit. Everybody comes down to visit when you live in Florida. You'll have friends and family coming out of the woodwork. and that's okay. It's a lot of fun to be able to share your new house, your new neighborhood. So don't feel bad about them coming down. I think it's a wonderful thing. And next thing you know, they're living next door. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for some of you, but something to think about. So that's as far as I've gotten so far in our apartment hunting. I'll feel better once we take a ride down to Tampa Bay. It's over 7 hours from Pensacola, believe it or not. I love Pensacola. People are beautiful. The beaches are beautiful. Downtown's beautiful. But I do love the heat. So I will love being back into our old stomping grounds. I actually lived in Northport at southern Sarasota County, which is even probably a little warmer than Tampa. But I'm looking forward to city life. I live the country life, I live the suburb life, and I would like to try out the city life. So it all depends if I can find an affordable apartment that has good reviews. I found a few, but we'll check them out and see how it goes. So I'll keep you posted as I find out new information, and maybe it'll help you if you're planning on moving down to Florida. Again, I do like the idea of Tampa because of the airport. I would love to live in Miami for 1 year. They have direct flights to Europe. As you know, my family is in Spain, and I really already miss them. We were there 3 months in this past fall, and I miss them a lot. I wish I can go back more often. I think being near an airport will make that a little bit easier. Maybe I'll try Miami one of these days, but for now we'll have to wait and let the kids go out and do their own thing. We got a couple more years before they find their way, and then Rick and I will be able to have a little more flexibility as to where we go. And in the meantime, we're still looking at boats and boat life, so that hasn't been ruled out. So I don't know, we'll see where we end up. It's all an adventure. I don't plan on settling down in any one place, like I said, for a little while. 1 year at a time, just go from there. Life's too short not to check out all the opportunities and all the possibilities of living it. So that's what we're going to do. I hope you tag along and be with us on this journey. It's a lot more fun when we get to share with you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thumbs up if you like. Please share. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to live a passionate life.